Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I brought with me both of the Melody Beatty books. I looked them up to see what the meditations were about today, and the one from The Language of Letting Go is about anger, and the one from A Journey to the Heart is about humor. So which one should I read? I'm going to read about humor today. I actually think the anger one would probably be, well, maybe I'll read about the anger one, and then if there's time, I'll read about the humor. About the humor. Like I say, the Walmart and the Meijer. Okay, July 18th. Let's get to this. Time to get angry. It's about time you got angry. Yes, that angry. Anger can be such a potent, frightening emotion. It can also be a feeling that guides us to important decisions, sometimes decisions difficult to make. It can signal other people's problems, our problems, or simply problems we need to address. We deny our anger for a variety of reasons. We don't give ourselves permission to allow it to come into our awareness at first. Understand that it does not go away. It sits in layers under the surface, waiting for us to become ready, safe, and strong enough to deal with it. What we may do instead of facing our anger, and what it is telling us about self-care, is feel hurt, victimized, trapped, guilty, and uncertain about how to take care of ourselves. We may withdraw, deny, make excuses, and hide our heads in the sand for a while. We may punish, get even, whine, and wonder. We may repeatedly forgive the other person for behaviors that hurt us. We may be afraid that someone will go away if we deal with our anger toward him or her. We may be afraid we will need to go away if we deal with our anger. We may simply be afraid of our anger and the potency of it. We may not know we have a right, even a responsibility to ourselves, to allow ourselves to feel and learn from our anger. God, help my hidden or repressed angry feelings to surface. Help me have the courage to face them. Help me understand how I need to take care of myself with the people I feel anger toward. Help me stop telling myself something is wrong with me when people victimize me and I feel angry about the victimization. I can trust my feelings to signal problems that need my attention. And the reason why I think talking about this is so important, I want to go back to earlier in the meditation where it starts asking the questions, or it starts, proposing these ideas to us. And I'm going to ask you guys if you have ever felt this way before, okay? What we may do instead of facing our anger and what it is telling us about self-care is to, now, have you ever, instead of allowing yourself to be angry, felt hurt, victimized, trapped, guilty, and uncertain of how you might be able to take care of yourself? Have you ever withdrawn, denied, or made excuses about what is making you angry and hid your head in the sand for a while? Have you ever punished, whined, or wondered? I know I have done all of these things. Have you ever repeatedly forgiven the person for behaviors that continue to hurt you? Okay, that's the idea of, doing the same thing over and again and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. Have you ever been afraid that someone will go away if you express how angry you are about something? Or have you ever been afraid that you will have to go away if you come to terms with why you're angry? Okay? You may just be simply afraid of the anger or the potency of it. I think a lot of us just don't even like to feel anger, right? And then it goes into the end where it asks, for help, and it says, having hidden or repressed anger feelings to surface. I think so many of us are afraid of that. Have you lacked courage to face your feelings before? Have you ever told yourself that something is wrong with you when people victimize you and make you feel angry about things that are happening to you, okay? And I think that is the most important one, is when you feel like, and I've had moments like this in my life, many moments like this, where I thought to myself, there is only one of two things going on here. Either I'm crazy or they're crazy. And they're making me think that I'm crazy. Okay, we won't even get into the definition of being gaslit and all that kind of stuff. It's an overused term, but it's an appropriate term, I think, at times. But, it's like this whole idea of being in a situation or a friendship or a relationship where you feel like like, first of all, I don't feel like I have a voice because I can't express myself. Second of all, I feel like I'm being victimized when I don't even want to be a victim. I don't want to be victimized, but like, what they're making me feel like is that the reason why I'm angry, I have no right to feel that way. Have you ever felt that before? If you're nodding your head, okay, and yes, you felt that way before, or you feel that way currently, it's time to do something about it. It's time to reach out to somebody and talk to them for help, whether that be like a life coach, a counselor, or a therapist, or just a friend even, and just say, you know, like, I'm really like in this situation, you know, what, and I think especially like in more severe situations, please seek professional help before you make any decisions. But I think like just in situations where you have felt long-term anger over a period of time, I need a sip of my coffee because my throat is dry. I think it's so important, you know, to express that anger. I'm not somebody that, I was going to say someone and then I said somebody, someone. I'm not somebody that expresses my anger very often. I used to be extremely reactionary. It was funny because we did this Q&A, my husband and I said I'm not that reactionary today, and he kind of looked at me, you know, but I'm not as reactionary as I was, okay? I mean, I used to be able to be lit on fire like that. And I feel like I surrounded myself with people that knew exactly, like it was like they were given a guidebook on what buttons of mine to push. Like they knew, like I felt like after the fact, looking back, like they would say something or do something. I would be reactionary and get angry and be like, ah, you know? And then I would look foolish as a result of that to whoever else was around or to that person, or I felt foolish. I just felt foolish inside that I had allowed myself to be so consumed with that anger that then when I looked back on it, I like punished myself for it. I'd be like, God, why did you do that? Why did you allow yourself to feel that way, right? I'm not that person today. I don't allow myself to go there as often unless it's something that I feel very, very strongly about. And I have to really feel strongly about something to be moved to that. And then what I really try to do is like pull back and say, okay, like what is a better way than you want to express this than just screaming and yelling, because that's really not going to get anything done, right? The thing is about anger that I have learned so much in my life is that I believe that anger is a secondary emotion that covers up something else. And for me, it's usually hurt feelings or pain inside that I have. And you know, as a person that is like on a daily basis trying to practice and exude gratitude, it's really hard because gratitude and anger don't really live like in the same community. You know what I mean? They don't live in the same neighborhood. So if you're trying to be grateful for your life, it's hard to say, like, I'm so grateful, but I'm also angry, right? And I think at times in my life, I have had to allow myself to feel that anger. I don't have to act on it, you know, I don't have to be physical with it. I don't have to like, you know, put holes in walls or any of that kind of stuff. I don't think I've ever done that. Well, I did kick a hole in a wall when my mom was drunk one time and didn't answer the door when I was a kid. That was, I think, the one and only time I've ever put a hole in the wall. But anyway, you guys were like, what? What's that story? One time I was at a friend's house and my mom had passed out in bed and she was drunk and she didn't answer the door. And when she finally came down and answered the door, or I got like a spare key or something, I can't remember. Like I was so mad about it. I was like 10 at the time and I like kicked, like my shoe like went into the wall. Like I had this loafer on and it like went into the wall. I don't know why I remember that. But, you know, like today, like, and that's interesting that I remember that, right? Like, it's interesting that I remember that moment of anger. I don't remember walking away from that situation. I don't remember feeling 100 times better. I don't remember it resolving anything. It sure as hell didn't get my mom sober at the time. So, I don't know, but maybe I needed to express that anger. But I'm not a person that believes in violence or physical anger in any way whatsoever. So, it's, you know, I think for me, though, it's important for me to talk to people. I don't do a very good job of that always. Like, I have to stay in check and I have to do inventory on a daily basis. Like, if, you know, that's why it's interesting, like, oh, I don't have my phone over here, but when I do my 10-step inventory on a daily basis, the first question was I resentful or did I have a grudge towards somebody today? It's important for me to think about that and to talk about that. And if I am feeling like I have a really strong resentment about a certain situation, place, or thing that has happened. And a resentment is an unfulfilled expectation. It's when something happened or didn't happen the way that I wanted it to, or somebody didn't treat me the way that I felt like they should have, or whatever, right? If I'm today living in resentment or anger or misery or pain, I need to talk to somebody. I got to get that out, right? Which is why I have a therapist that I see on a regular basis, which is why I have my sponsor, which is why I talk to my husband, which is why I talk to my friends, you know, about those things. My best friend and I, we talk about that stuff all the time, you know? And I think her being in recovery as well is so, and also my sponsor is so helpful because they understand my point of view of where I'm coming from. But if you just allow that anger to just fester inside over years and years and years, you know when people say it's going to bottle up and eventually it'll happen? I don't know about that. I've met some really sad, silent people that have been angry for a really, really long time that never act on it. They just really have sad, miserable lives because they're so angry inside about what people did to them and the circumstances of their life and things like that. You know, my mom had a friend of hers that, like, she'd gone through a bad divorce and there was just a lot of things that had happened, and she just was such a miserable, sad person, right? Like, she wasn't an angry person that was acting out on it, but you could tell as a result, like, she was really angry about some very real things that had occurred in her life. But instead of dealing with them and talking about them and whatever, she just moved away from it, you know, and it was sad. And, you know, just she was a sadly person. She was a miserable person because she never really addressed this anger that was going on inside of her, this resentment, this misery. I'm not a believer, like, when people say, one day that anger is going to pop. I don't know. I think, like, those people that it's prone to pop are probably those people that it's going to prone, you know what I mean? Like, they're probably people that's how they express their anger anyway, is by going off, you know? I think there's a lot of people that stuff that anger inside to the point where that anger, sadness, misery, and pain just becomes who they are inside. Nobody wants to live like that. Nobody wants to live like that, you know? So, and I also think that's a lot about, like, victim mentality, is where, like, you feel like the whole world has screwed you over. Like, the reason why I'm not big on that is, first of all, I think we got to take some responsibility for our life. And I've seen so many people that have literally come from the toughest situations in the world that have risen above it and made something, you know, and are happy, joyous, and free today. So, like, I struggle with that. But the other thing that I struggle with the victimization thing is the person that suffers the most when you victimize yourself is you. Like, if you see this victim mentality, right, where you're like, oh, woe is me, and the world hates me, and the world does me, you're the one that suffers from that. Don't you want to be happy? Get out of the pain. Get out and express the anger. Allow yourself to, you know, whatever, talk to somebody about it and get out of it. Because I want you to have a happy life. I want you to live happy, joyous, and free. And the way that we do that, right, the solution through that pain is by moving through the pain. Like I've talked about it on here, you know, on a regular basis. It's not by sitting on the pain and not doing anything about it. It's moving through the pain. It's talking about it and allowing us to express ourselves, and not, like, all these things that it said in the book, like, you know, have you denied it? Have you pushed it away? Have you pushed it down? Have you pushed your head in the ground and acted like these things aren't happening and I have no right to feel this way? You have every right to feel the way that you do, okay? You know, but the other thing that we have to remember is that feelings are not facts. Just because you're angry today about something doesn't mean you're going to feel as angry or angry at all about that exact same thing 10 weeks from now, 10 years from now, 10 months from now. You might not. It might, you know, like, you know, the whole, like, idea from The Wizard of Oz, you know, like, be gone before somebody drops a house on you. You have no power here. Like, there are things that have happened to me in my life, minimal things, major things, whatever, okay? There have been things that have happened to me in my life where at the time I thought I couldn't move through it. I thought I could never, like, have a life, like, past whatever, you know, and, like, breakups and things like that. And then I look back on it and I think, well, A, like, first of all, you have no power here anymore. Like, you have no effect on my life today. And B, I can see that it kind of happened for a reason. Like, I learned something as a result of having gone through that experience. Whether it's supposed to happen or not, I still learned something from having gone through that experience, you know, so... anyway, I don't know. Let me know what you think about all of that in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.